Hi everybody, this is Linda Faulkner at www.crafterinspired.com. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm here today to show you how to make this beautiful card. It has a little flower and bird and a sweet sentiment, and it is made from the Petal Palette stamp set. It's got 2 whole boxes of stamps. There are 15 stamps in all with lots of good sentiments. With that, we'll be using the Petals and More Thinlit dies, and these have images for both the flowers and the birds that are in the stamp set, as well as additional accent pieces. And then for the sentiment, life is a beautiful thing, we'll be using the sentiment from Colorful Seasons. To get started, you're going to need a white card base, an envelope, and these are just cut from half a sheet of cardstock, and it measures 5.5 by 4 1/4. You're also going to need this piece of Pool Party, and I have cut out the oval, and the oval I think was 2 1/8 inch across. It's from the Layering Oval set, or you can use any shape that you have that would fit the sentiment. So 2 1/8 inches across that. So the oval is cut out in the center, just a little bit closer to the top than the bottom. And this is Pool Party, and this is going to give me 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides. So that's going to measure 4 inches across this way by 5 1/4 inches high. All right, and the last piece you're going to need is for your stamping, and that is going to be just 1/4 of a sheet of cardstock. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is my stamping. I'm using Memento ink because we're going to be using blends pens. These are the new alcohol markers to do our coloring today. And I'm going to stamp my bird, my flowers. Make sure you got a good stamp on it. Now notice this has some shading in it, so all of the parts are not going to be a dark black. Some of them are going to be a gray that looks just like shading on paper when you draw. Okay, the next one is my flower, and notice how large this stamp is. So to me it's easier to use my ink pad on top, and you're going to have to do quite a bit of inking to get it covered on my Whisper White cardstock. Looks good. I've got my card back out, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the center. So I'm going to lay my Pool Party that I used the Big Shot to cut out the oval from in the center. I want to get it exactly where I want it. And I'm just going to kind of hold it down. I've already inked up my stamp, and I'm just going to stamp my sentiment in the center, and its life is a beautiful thing. So my sentiment is ready to go, and now I'm going to go back and pull my stamped images and do a little bit of coloring. I'll be using the Blends alcohol markers. These are new to Stampin' Up, and I'm going to put paper underneath it because blends will go through cardstock and paper. I found the easiest way to color is going to be using the light shade first, and I just go over the entire flower in the light. I'm choosing Calypso Coral. I'm going to go over everything, all the flower in Calypso Coral Light, and then I'm going to go back over the flower with the Calypso Coral Dark, just where the lines are. So I'll do the outline and then any shading lines that are there. So let me go back over it very quickly, and I'm just going over the dark lines. I like the look that this Calypso gives me. I'm using the large brush because I don't want it to be exact. I want to have some blending there. You could choose to use the narrow end if you prefer. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of extra dark in the center. So anything that's black lines or even the gray lines for the shading, I'm going to go back over with Calypso Coral. And you see it doesn't take long, and I'm not being perfectly exact, but I do like the look it gives it. I'm going to continue going back and forth between light and dark until I get a look alike. These are designed for the novice. You don't have to be very artistic, because I certainly am not, in order to make these look good. And it really looks good just like that. But let me show you what it looks like when I go over maybe one more time with the light, and see how that's going to blend that together and just softens it a little bit so it doesn't have so many lines. And I'm really liking the look of that. I think that gives it just enough softness. Got it? Okay. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves, and I'm using Old Olive. Again, I'm going to color my leaves with the light color. And if you'll notice, sometimes these can be hard to pull apart. I find if I press my fingers on the little raised dots, that releases a little bit of pressure on it, makes it just a little easier to open. But you want them sealed tight so they don't dry out. So I'm just simply coloring with the light, and I've already done the other leaves, but I wanted to show you the technique again. And I don't know that this is the best way to do it. It works for me, and I'm happy with the result, so that's really all that matters. Now I'm going to go back over, and I'm using the thick brush again because I like the look it gives it. Not quite so exacting. And I'm just going over every black line, including the stem, with the dark. And then I'm going to go back again and use the light to blend those together. Now the third step, and I think it really makes a difference, is using the color lifter to pull some of that color off to give you a little bit more highlighting and shading. The color lifter pen, it has a white lid to it. So let's play a little bit with the leaves. And I think I'm just going to kind of go over the tips of a couple of leaves. Do you see how that's pulling that color off and gives you just a little bit of variance? It's almost like you would do the sun might be hitting a part of it. Now I'm going to be doing the same thing with my bird. And I'm going to put a little bit of a light Calypso on his belly. Isn't that going to be pretty? And I think I'm going to go with a light gray for the feathers and the tail. I can use a dark gray to go back over if I wanted to try to get a little bit more variance between the wings and the feathers. There's my little bird. The next step is to go to the big shot. I'm going to take the thinlits that I need to cut the flower, the bird, and then an extra little flower I have. And let me show you what that's going to look like. I'll pull theirs for the bird. And then the open framelits are for the flowers. Got them backwards. And then I'm going to cut just some white flowers for the inside of my card. We have a little surprise in there. So let me run those through the big shot and I'll be right back. But the first thing I want to do is go ahead and get it put down. Now I'm using a little bit of a silver and white twine. It's in the Occasions catalog. I'm going to make a little bow just like this to tie on, and then I'll be attaching my pool party with tape runner. So little hint, I always cut more ribbon than I think I'm going to need, so I've got about almost 2 feet, probably close to that. I'm going to use a little glue dot on the back to keep it from slipping when I kind of figure out where I want it to, about how high I want it to be. So just about right there should work. Then I'm going to turn it over and tie a bow, and I'm going to, since the flowers are going to be on, this side, I'm going to put my bow on the other side. So just tie a quick little bow, and we'll be ready to add the flowers. There we go. And I'm going to finish adding tape runner to the back. I've got it almost everywhere. And then I'm going to put it on my card. And just center it on the front. And I did tape runner, so it's going to be flat because I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to pop up both my flower and my bird. So here's the flower. It's going to tuck in right there. And my little bird is going to go right there. I had him sitting on top of the L for life. And I'm going to use dimensionals. You can use the minis or the regular size dimensionals on the back to make that pop up just a little bit. Probably take about 4 for the flower and maybe 2 for the bird. So let me get those on the back. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got 2. I just used the large dimensionals on my little bird, and he's going to be perched right on top of the L in the sentiment. And I've got 4 dimensionals on my flowers, and it has a little curve to it on that one side. So I like to use that and just kind of wrap it around your sentiment. And I'm going to finish it off with some pearls right in the center of my flower, and then let me show you the secret inside. Here's my last pearl. I find that if I use scissors or a paper piercer or a little sharp object, that helps a little bit. They can be very elusive. That may be the hardest part of the whole project. Now on the inside, I wanted to add just a little surprise, and I'm going to use the little flower die cut right here in the corner. I like the white on white. You could easily use another color if you wanted it to be more of a statement. And that wasn't so hard, was it? Those blends are a little scary the first time you use them, but you're going to fall in love with them. So here's my final card. Life is a beautiful thing. And you can choose whichever sentiment you want from that kit stamp set. It has a lot of different choices. So I'm going to wait until I know who I want to send this to put the actual sentiment on. Now all of this is coming from the suite. It's on page 22 and 23 of the Stampin' Up's occasional catalog for 17-18, and it's Petal Palette Suite, and it has lots of card examples to show you, and then there's your stamp set, and then the papers. The papers are a whole nother story, lots of great things. I'm going to put all this information on my blog. We're also having Celebration. If you're interested in saving a lot of money, just join my team for $99 and you'll get $125 worth of product of your choice, plus supply items for free. I throw in a paper pumpkin kit from me, and Stampin' Up! Will give you 2 free stamp sets from any catalog of your choice. So that's the best deal. There's also $50 orders will also get you a free celebration item for every $50 you spend. So take a look at the blog at the end on my blog, as well as all the measurements and supplies that I use. Thanks for watching.